PvP here. Maybe a clash of styles and a clash of regions. It's not every day you get to see China versus Germany in a match like that. It's pretty cool. Well, actually, I say not every day. Just 2 days earlier, we saw Shigua versus TLO, but I guess with another mirror.
Don't talk about that one.
It's like...
It's fine. We never see it. We never see it.
Yeah.
All right. So our maps here, as you can see on screen, those are the vetoes as well. Whilst that ticker goes along, Overgrowth will be our first map between these two, with Maxed and Showtime facing off against one another. Showtime comes from a region that for a long time was very heavily Protoss dominated.
Tell me about it.
He has had a lot of experience against people in the past and had to practice for high-octane PvP situations in the EPS a lot against people like Soke, against people like Hassorps. Nowadays, though, they're not really there anymore. Showtime has laid claim to their land. All right, we're getting into game number 1 here on Overgrowth to figure out who is going to be moving on into that round of 8. It's a great opportunity for either one of them here to make a really big splash, gain a lot of WCS points, moving on to the round of 8, as we have our Protoss versus Protoss unfold before us. All right, spawning down to the bottom left-hand corner, it's our blue Protoss representing Invictus Gaming. It is Maxed. And up to the top as our red Protoss representing alternate attacks. It is Showtime.
An interesting thing to note here, in my opinion, is that Showtime practicing on the European ladder, where, as you said, you know, there's a lot of Protosses in Europe, a lot of good ones. I think he's more used of building up profiles, you know, because even if when you play barcodes, you pretty much know who you're playing, at least at the end of the game. So you know, like, how somebody plays, and then you can adjust from game to game. You play the same guys every day, so you have to do that all the time. You're really used to it. Whereas Max said, he practices on the Korean ladder. All he plays is barcodes, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't know who's who, because Koreans, you know, they make it a point to make sure not to let anybody know who they are. It's actually really, really hard. There is very few, as far as I'm concerned, that know, you know, who a majority of barcodes are. And if somebody wants to keep their secrets, then it's going to be very difficult for anyone to know. So Max said essentially he's playing against, I don't know what to say, like ghosts, like, you know, like people that he doesn't know who they are. So he's basically playing every game with like a reset mindset of basically, I'm just going to do my best, do my build here and there, do what's best against most of the builds. Whereas Showtime, I feel like from game to game, as much as there is a good chance he doesn't really know Maxed much yet in terms of PvP, he's going to be able to adjust better, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think this is a great opportunity for Showtime. I think this is probably the best opportunity of his career. If he was able to beat Maxed here and take a top 8 in WCS, the tournament that it exists as now, that would be the biggest result of him entirely. But you're talking about the Korean ladder with just tons of barcodes. Do you remember the one time where there was one ID on Korea called the Barcode Butcher? It just reminded me of, that was the funniest thing, one of the funniest things I've seen in StarCraft.
Yeah, it's just pretty cool. He was doing pretty good too.
Yeah.
He butchered a lot of these barcodes. Showtime is the only player here that went for a scout, and again, he really did, this symbolizes pretty well what I was talking about with, you know, Showtime trying to put a little bit more effort into seeing exactly what he's up against, because he knows that if he's able to read into what Maxed's doing, he's going to be able to counter it very well. Whereas Maxed, he does a build that's pretty much good against everything, you know. There is no build that counters everything, but there are builds that are going to be good against most stuff that could be thrown at you, and this is one of them. You know, opening with the double gate like this, opening with Stalkers, now he saw that he was scouted. He knows that, like, that, you know, there is no proxy. His opponent's most likely going to be on one gateway. Like, when you scout like this, you don't open 2 gates behind it a lot of the time. So he's like, you know what? He's not going to attack me with Stalkers. I don't need to make Stalkers myself. I don't need to particularly pressure. I'm just going to get 1 Stalker, 1 more core, scout around my base, and go for fairly fast targets, considering he had opened with 2 gateways.
And already throwing down the Robo in anticipation of anything extra that Showtime's going to go for, making sure that he can not only cover himself with an Observer for a Dark Shrine if that was to come along, but also Immortals for dealing with Blink Stalkers is also very, very important here.
On paper, I think I like much better to open with a Blink here and 3 gateways, because you're going to be getting Blink Stalkers against air units, which really you should be able to, you know, snipe, chase away, negate any damage from. But it's only on paper. If Showtime makes a mistake here and there, which by the look of things he's not going to make any, because right now he's confirming that there is indeed an Oracle in production. If Showtime plays this right, he starts pulling very far ahead. He saw a Stargate and a Robo.
Yeah.
Basically what's missing here. There is no way there could be a Twilight, because there was a Nexus made as well, which sadly for him he didn't see.